English Daily, the podcast.
Your English journey starts now. Hey, English learners! Welcome back to your podcast, the English Daily Podcast. I'm Anna, and I'm so happy to be here with you today.
Yes, and I'm Jack. It's great to be here too. We have such an awesome episode lined up for you today.
Today's episode is all about building a daily English speaking habit that actually sticks, specifically for 2026. We're going to share some really practical strategies that you can start using immediately.
That's right, and we're going to make it really practical for you. No vague advice, no empty promises. We're going to give you an actual roadmap that you can follow step by step.
So, whether you're a beginner or already speaking well, you'll find something useful here. Actually, this episode is especially for those of you who have been planning to practice speaking every day, but somehow life keeps getting in the way. You know who you are.
Guilty as charged, right? I know I used to be the king of Procrasta-planning. I'd spend hours watching videos about how to learn English, but actually speaking? That was always tomorrow. Sound familiar?
Oh, I love that term, Procrasta-planning. It's so accurate. And that's exactly what we're going to tackle today. We're going to talk about why you should stop planning and start putting in the reps. No more waiting for the perfect moment.
Absolutely. And we're also going to share the systems over goals philosophy. It's so much why more effective to focus on your daily practice system rather than chasing some big, distant goal. We'll also show you exactly how to use 15-minute podcast sessions to bypass that frustrating intermediate plateau.
Yes, so grab your notebook, get comfortable, and let's dive right in. I'm Anna, he's Jack, and this is the English Daily Podcast.
Let's do this.
So, Anna, let's start with this concept that I've been thinking about a lot lately, the Procrasta-planning trap. Can you explain what that means for our listeners? I've been using this term a lot in my own learning journey.
Of course. So procrasta-planning is basically when you spend more time planning to do something than actually doing it. Like, you might spend an hour researching the best English learning apps, or reading articles about how to become fluent, or watching videos about language learning methods. And all of that feels productive, right? It feels like you're working toward your goal, but you're really just standing still.
Oh, absolutely. I used to do this all the time. I'd wake up and think, today I'm going to start my English speaking practice. And then I'd spend the whole morning watching YouTube videos about the best speaking exercises. By noon, I'd feel really good about all the information I gathered, but I hadn't actually spoken a single word, not one.
Right. And that's the trap. It feels like progress, but it's actually just comfort. It's staying in your comfort zone while telling yourself you're moving forward. It's a sneaky kind of procrastination that doesn't even feel like procrastination because you're doing research.
So why is this so dangerous for English learners specifically? Why is it worse for us than for people learning other skills?
Well, here's the thing. With English speaking, you can't fake competence. You can read a grammar book cover to cover and still freeze up when someone asks you a simple question. You can watch thousands of hours of English movies and still struggle to form your own sentences. The only way to actually improve your speaking is to speak. There's no shortcut, no secret method that replaces actual practice.
That's such a good point. It's like working out. You can read every book about fitness, watch every workout video, but if you never actually lift weights, you'll never get stronger. The muscles don't build themselves.
Exactly. And that's what we mean by putting in the reps. In fitness, they call it reps, repeated exercises that build muscle memory. In language learning, it's the same concept. Every time you speak, you're building neural pathways. You're training your mouth and brain to work together in English. It's literally creating new connections in your brain.
So how does this connect to what we're talking about today, building a daily habit? How does the Procrasta-planning trap relate to habit formation?
Great question. See, the problem with planning is that it creates this illusion that you're working towards something, so you never feel the urgency to actually start. You tell yourself, I'm preparing, or I'm researching the best approach, when really you're just delaying. But when you commit to a daily practice, even just 15 minutes, you're forcing yourself to take action every single day. No more, I'll start tomorrow. Today becomes the day. Today is the day you actually speak.
I love that. And I think this is why I personally struggled for so long. I kept waiting for the perfect moment, the perfect method, the perfect resources. But now I realize there is no perfect moment. You just have to start. The time will never feel right. You just have to jump in.
Absolutely. And that's exactly what we're going to help you do in this episode. We're going to give you a system that makes it easy to start and easy to keep going. A system so simple that you can't make excuses.
You mentioned earlier that we're going to talk about systems over goals. Can you explain what that means, Anna? I've heard this phrase before, but I'd love to understand it better in the context of language learning.
Sure. So the idea is this. Instead of focusing on a big goal like become fluent in English or speak English like a native, you focus on the daily systems that will get you there. The goal is the destination, but the system is the vehicle that actually takes you there. Think of it like this. The goal is your destination on a map, but the system is the road you're driving every single day.
Okay, so it's like instead of saying, I want to run a marathon, you say, I'm going to run 30 minutes every morning. The daily action becomes more important than the big achievement.
Exactly. And the reason this works better is because goals are about outcomes, which are often outside of your control. You can't control when you become fluent. What does that even mean anyway? But systems are about processes, which you can control every single day. When you focus on the system, you build momentum, you build a habit, and eventually you look up and realize you've come so far. The goal almost takes care of itself.
That really resonates with me. When I first started learning English, my goal was to speak fluently. But what does that even mean? It's so vague and far away that it's easy to get discouraged. Some days I'd practice and think, I'm still not fluent. What's the point? It felt hopeless.
Right, and that's the danger of big goals. They can feel overwhelming. You might practice for a week and think, I'm still not fluent, what's the point? And then you give up. But if your system is speak English for 15 minutes every day using podcast episodes, that's a system, and every single day you do the work. Some days you might feel like you're making huge progress. Some days you might feel like you're stuck. But either way, you're showing up and putting in the reps. You're winning every single day.
I love that. And I think the key insight is that the system should be so small and manageable that it's almost impossible to fail. Like 15 minutes is nothing, right? Everyone has 15 minutes. Even the busiest person in the world has 15 minutes somewhere in their day.
Exactly. That's the beauty of it. You don't need an hour. You don't need 2 hours. You don't need to rearrange your entire life. You just need 15 minutes of focused practice. And we'll talk more about how to structure those 15 minutes later in the episode. It's easier than you think.
So let me get this straight. Instead of dreaming about being fluent, I should just focus on doing my 15 minutes every day. That's the whole secret?
That's the idea. And trust me, it works. I've seen it work for so many students. The ones who focus on the daily practice, not the big goal, are the ones who actually succeed. They don't get distracted by shiny new methods or the latest app. They just do the work every day. Consistency beats intensity every time.
So, Anna, you've mentioned the 15-minute podcast method a few times. Can we dive into that? What exactly is it, and how does it work? I want to understand the details.
Oh, I'm so glad you asked. The 15-minute podcast method is essentially what we're doing right now, using short, focused podcast episodes as your daily speaking practice. Here's how it works. You listen to a 15 to 20-minute episode, and then you immediately practice speaking in English for about the same amount of time. It's simple but powerful.
So it's not just passive listening, there's an active component?
No, definitely not. Passive listening is useful for improving your comprehension, like training your ear to understand different accents and speeds, but it won't improve your speaking at all. That's a common misconception. You can understand English perfectly and still not be able to speak it yourself. The key is active practice. So after you listen to the episode, you should speak. You could summarize what you learned, answer the reflection questions out loud, or even have a mock conversation with yourself. You have to use your mouth.
That's actually really smart. I think a lot of learners make the mistake of just listening without ever actually speaking. They think that by osmosis, they'll somehow start speaking better, like magic. But that's not how it works. You have to work for it.
Exactly right. It's like the difference between watching someone play tennis and actually playing tennis yourself. You can watch thousands of matches, but that doesn't mean you can serve an ace. You have to get out on the court and practice. You have to feel the racket in your hand.
Curious, so why specifically podcasts? Why not just practice with a conversation partner or use a language exchange app? Those seem like more interactive options.
That's a great question. Here's why podcasts are so effective. First, they're convenient. You can listen during your commute, while walking your dog, or while doing household chores. You're already doing those things anyway, so it's easy to squeeze in. Second, the content is structured. Each episode has a clear topic, vocabulary, and reflection questions. It's like having a lesson ready for you every single day. No preparation needed. Third, podcasts expose you to natural conversational English. You're hearing how native speakers actually talk, not textbook English with its stiff formal structures.
I see. And how does this help bypass the intermediate plateau? That's something a lot of learners struggle with, including myself sometimes.
The intermediate plateau is that frustrating stage where you can communicate basic ideas, but you feel stuck. You can't seem to take your English to the next level. You can order food, ask for directions, make small talk, but anything more complex feels impossible. The reason this happens is because learners often rely on the same limited vocabulary and grammar patterns. They practice the same things over and over, so they never grow.
Right, I've definitely experienced that. You know enough to get by, but you can't really express yourself deeply or naturally. It's like hitting a glass ceiling.
Exactly. And the podcast method helps because each episode introduces new vocabulary, new phrases, new ways of expressing ideas. You're constantly expanding your toolkit. You're exposing yourself to different topics, different perspectives, different ways of saying things. Plus, the reflection questions force you to form your own opinions and express them in English. That's where the real growth happens. You have to think for yourself and speak for yourself.
So, what does a typical 15-minute practice session look like? Can you walk us through it step by step?
Great question. Here's what I recommend. First, listen to the episode once all the way through to get the general idea. Don't pause, don't stop, just listen and absorb. Let the language wash over you. Then, listen to it again, but this time, pause after each question or discussion point and try to answer out loud. Don't just think about it in your head, actually speak, use your voice. Finally, at the end of the episode, there's usually a reflection section. Take a moment to summarize what you learned in your own words. Speak it out loud. Make sure you're actually producing English, not just consuming it.
That sounds like a really complete practice. And it's only 15 minutes? That seems almost too good to be true.
Yes, it sounds like a lot when I break it down, but really it's just about being consistent. Some days you might have more time and want to do longer practice sessions. That's great, go for it. But on busy days, those 15 minutes keep your streak alive and maintain your momentum. That's the most important thing. Never break the chain.
I love that. And I think the key is that it removes all the friction. You don't have to decide what to practice or how to structure your time. The episode does it for you. You just have to show up. It's like having a personal trainer, but free and available anytime.
Exactly. That's the power of having a system. You remove the decision-making fatigue. Every morning, you know exactly what you're going to do. You press play, you listen, you speak. Simple. No stress, no confusion, no what should I do today? And once it becomes automatic, it becomes fun.
So, Anna, let's talk about habit stacking. I've heard this term before, but how does it apply specifically to English learning? How can we use this technique to make our English practice stick?
Oh, habit stacking is one of my favorite concepts. It's a total game changer. Here's the basic idea. Instead of trying to create a completely new habit from scratch, you attach it to an existing habit. You find something you already do every single day without thinking, and you add your new habit right before or after it. The existing habit becomes the trigger.
So, like, right after I brush my teeth in the morning, I'll practice English for 15 minutes. That makes sense because I already brush my teeth every day automatically.
Exactly. See? You already brush your teeth every single day. It's automatic. You don't have to think about it or motivate yourself to do it. It's just what you do. So by attaching your English practice to that existing habit, you're essentially piggybacking on the momentum of your morning routine. You're using an existing neural pathway to build a new one.
That's really smart. So you're using an existing habit as a trigger for the new one. You're leveraging something that's already automatic.
Yes, the idea is that your brain already has a neural pathway for the existing habit. When you add something new to that routine, it becomes easier to remember and easier to do. You're not starting from zero every day. You're building on a foundation that's already there.
What are some other examples of habit stacking for English learners? I want to give my listeners lots of options so they can find what works for them.
Let me think. There are so many possibilities. You could listen to an English podcast during your morning coffee. That's a great one because you're probably already having coffee every day and it's a relaxing moment. You're already sitting there anyway, might as well learn. Another example is practicing English while you commute. If you take the bus or train, that's perfect listening time. You're stuck there anyway, so use it productively. Or you could do your English speaking practice right after your lunch break at work. Use that post-lunch energy.
Can I stack my English practice with my phone scrolling time? That's perfect because I was doing that anyway. I might as well make it productive.
Exactly. And here's another powerful technique. You can stack it with other languages or media you're already consuming. Like if you watch TV shows in English anyway, you could add a 5-minute speaking practice right after each episode. Or if you read English news, you could summarize what you read out loud. You're already spending time on these activities, so make them bilingual learning opportunities.
I love this because it removes the feeling of, I don't have time. You're not adding a completely new block to your day, you're just shifting a small portion of what you're already doing. It's so much more achievable.
Yes, and that's the secret to making habits stick. The easier it is to do, the more likely you'll keep doing it. Habit stacking removes all the friction. There's no decision to make, no motivation required. You just do it because it's attached to something you already do.
Do you have any personal experience with habit stacking, Anna? I'd love to hear how it worked for you in real life.
Actually, yes. When I was learning Spanish, I used to do my practice right after my morning coffee. Every single day, I'd sit on my balcony with my coffee, listen to a podcast, and then speak out loud. It became this little ritual. Eventually, I didn't even have to think about it. My brain just knew coffee time equals Spanish time. Even now, when I have coffee, I feel like I should be practicing. It's automatic.
That's such a great example, and I imagine that made it a lot easier to stay consistent. There were probably days when you really didn't feel like practicing.
Absolutely. There were days when I really didn't feel like practicing, but I'd still have my coffee on the balcony, and once I was there with my coffee, I'd just start the podcast anyway. It became automatic. The habit was so stacked onto the existing routine that I didn't have to make a decision. I just do it because that's what came next.
I think that's the goal for all of us, to get to that point where it's just what you do. No motivation required. It's just part of who you are now.
Exactly. And that's what habit stacking does. It makes consistency feel natural. It makes progress feel automatic. You stop having to fight yourself and start letting the routine carry you forward.
So Anna, we're in 2026 now. Can we talk about what a practical fluency roadmap looks like for someone starting today? Where should they want to be by the end of the year? I think having a timeline would be really helpful for our listeners.
Oh, I love this question. Let's break it down together. First, let's talk about realistic expectations. If you're starting from zero, meaning you basically don't know any English, by the end of 2026, you should be able to have basic conversations about everyday topics: shopping, directions, food, your hobbies, your family. That's completely achievable with daily practice. I mean it.
And if someone is already at an intermediate level, what can they achieve in a year? Let's say they're somewhere around B1 right now.
Great question. If you're already intermediate, you can communicate, but you feel stuck, by the end of 2026, you should be able to discuss more complex topics: current events, your opinions about things, your career, abstract ideas like happiness or success. You should be able to express yourself fluently enough to have meaningful conversations without too much hesitation. That's the goal.
That's actually really encouraging. I want our listeners to know that real progress is possible in just 1 year. Now, what about the first 30 days? What should someone focus on at the very start?
The first 30 days are all about building the habit. Don't worry about perfect pronunciation or advanced vocabulary. Don't worry about making mistakes or sounding weird. Just focus on showing up every single day. Listen to one episode, speak for 5 to 10 minutes. That's it. The goal is to make it so easy that you can't say no. The goal is to make it feel natural.
And after the first 30 days, what happens then? Do we change something?
After 30 days, you'll start to notice improvements. You'll remember more vocabulary, your pronunciation will get clearer, and you'll feel more confident. That's when the magic starts to happen. That's when you can start pushing a little harder. Maybe add 5 more minutes to your practice, or start trying more challenging content. Maybe you graduate from beginner episodes to intermediate ones, but don't rush it. Let the progress guide you.
What about the 90-day mark? That's usually when people start to see real changes, right?
By day 90, you should have a solid foundation. You should be able to speak about familiar topics without too much difficulty. Your brain is rewiring itself. This is where the real magic happens. You start thinking in English more naturally. You don't have to translate in your head as much. Words and phrases just come to you. It's amazing.
What about the 6-month mark? That's halfway through the year.
At 6 months, you should be able to handle most everyday conversations with relative ease. You might still make mistakes, everyone does, but you can communicate your ideas. You can have discussions with native speakers, maybe not about every topic, but about plenty of things that interest you. You can talk about your job, your hobbies, your opinions on movies or music. You're becoming a real communicator.
And by the end of the year, what's the big payoff?
By the end of 2026, if you've been consistent, and I mean really consistent, not perfect, just consistent, you should be able to speak English with confidence in most situations. You'll have your own style, your own vocabulary, your own way of expressing yourself. You'll still be learning. Language learning never really stops, even for native speakers. But you'll be a competent, confident English speaker. You'll be able to do things you never thought possible.
That's such a motivating roadmap, and the beautiful thing is, it all starts with those 15 minutes every day. You don't have to be superhuman. You just have to be consistent.
Exactly. Don't think about the whole year. Don't think about becoming fluent. Don't think about all the work ahead. Just think about today. Do your 15 minutes today. That's all that matters. Today is the only day that matters. Tomorrow will take care of itself.
Can we share some real stories from learners who've tried this approach? I think our listeners would benefit from hearing about actual experiences from real people. Stories are so much more motivating than abstract advice.
Oh, absolutely. I have so many stories from my students over the years. Let me tell you about one student. Her name was Maria. She was a busy working mom with 2 kids. She came to me saying she wanted to improve her English for work, but she had 0 time. She was always running from one thing to another.
That sounds really tough. Finding time with 2 kids and a job must be impossible. How did she possibly fit it in?
Well, she started with habit stacking. She realized she always drank her coffee at 8 a.m. while checking her phone. So she replaced phone scrolling with listening to a 15-minute English podcast. Just that simple change. Then, after her kids went to bed at 8:30, she'd do her 15-minute speaking practice. That's 30 minutes total, but broken into 2 chunks that fit her schedule perfectly. She wasn't adding time, she was replacing existing time with better activities.
That's so smart. And did it work? Did she actually see results?
It did. After 3 months, she told me she could finally participate in meetings at work without feeling terrified. She wasn't hiding in the background anymore. After 6 months, she was promoted to a position that required more English communication. Her boss noticed her improvement, and by the end of the year, she was fluent enough to present at conferences in English in front of hundreds of people.
That's incredible. What was the key to her success? What made the difference for her?
She was consistent. She never missed a day. Even on vacation, she'd do her practice. She told me there were days when she was exhausted and didn't want to do it, but she'd just tell herself, it's only 15 minutes. I can do anything for 15 minutes. And she'd do it anyway. She made it non-negotiable, like brushing her teeth.
I love that mindset. I can do anything for 15 minutes. That's so powerful. Do you have another story? I could listen to these all day.
Yes. Let me tell you about James. He was a software developer who studied English in school, but never really learned to speak. He could read technical documents fine. His job required that. But when it came to conversations, he froze. Complete blank. It was like his brain just shut down.
That's a common issue, right? People who are good at reading and writing but struggle with speaking, it's like they have 2 different Englishes in their head.
Absolutely. It's super common. So James started using the 15-minute podcast method. He'd listen to an episode about technology or programming topics, things that interested him and were relevant to his work, and then he'd summarize what he learned out loud. He recorded himself and listened back. He was basically having a conversation with himself about code.
How did he get over the freezing issue? That must have been really frustrating for him.
At first, he couldn't even say a full sentence without pausing. He'd freeze, forget words, get frustrated. It was tough, but he kept going. He gave himself permission to make mistakes. He told me, I sound stupid anyway, so I might as well keep practicing. He let go of perfection and just focused on practice, and that made all the difference.
That's a great attitude. I sound stupid anyway, so I might as well keep practicing. I love that.
Right? So after a few months, something shifted. He started thinking in English more. The words came more easily. He wasn't translating in his head as much. That whole mental translation process was starting to disappear. And eventually, he told me he had a conversation with a client in English completely on his own, no translator, no help, and the client didn't even realize English wasn't his first language. The client was impressed.
That's amazing. What did he say was the turning point? When did he feel like things really changed?
He said it was around the 3-month mark. That's when he realized he was actually thinking in English, not translating. The words were just there. He didn't have to search for them anymore. They came naturally, like his native language. That's the magic moment every learner waits for.
That's so motivating. I think these stories show that anyone can do this if they're willing to put in the reps. It doesn't matter where you're starting from. You can get to where you want to be.
Exactly. And I want our listeners to know, if Maria and James can do it, so can you. You don't need to be naturally talented. You don't need a perfect schedule. You don't need expensive courses or fancy tools. You just need to show up every day and put in the work. That's it. That's the secret.
Anna, I think it's time for our vocabulary section. What phrases are we covering today? I'm always learning so much from this section.
I'm so glad you asked. Today we have some really useful phrases related to habits, learning, and personal development. These are expressions that native speakers use all the time, so pay attention. You'll sound much more natural once you start using them.
Let's start with the first one.
To put in the reps. This means to do the repetitive practice that's necessary to improve at something. It's originally from fitness training, where you do many repetitions of an exercise to build muscle. In language learning, it means consistent daily practice. Example, you can't become fluent overnight. You have to put in the reps every day. Alternative usage, you can also say put in the work with a similar meaning. Common mistake? Don't confuse this with put in the reps, meaning to include someone in a group. It's about effort and practice.
I love that expression. It's so motivating. It makes practice feel like something tangible you're doing.
Next up, Procrasta-planning. This is a combination of procrastination and planning. It describes spending too much time planning to do something instead of actually doing it. It's a clever way to describe a common trap. Example, I was guilty of procrasta-planning. I'd spend hours researching methods, but never actually start practicing. Alternative usage, you could also just say procrastination, but procrasta-planning is more specific and fun. Common mistake? Make sure to spell it correctly. It's one word.
That's such a useful term. I'm definitely guilty of this. Now I have a name for it.
Next phrase, systems over goals. This means focusing on the daily processes and habits that lead to success, rather than just fixating on the end result. It's a philosophy from productivity experts. Example, instead of just wanting to be fluent, focus on systems over goals. Practice every day and let fluency happen naturally. Alternative usage, you could say focus on the process, not the outcome. Common mistake? Don't confuse this with systems, meaning computers or machinery. Here, it means habits and routines.
That's really important advice. I'm going to remember this one.
Keep going. To bypass the intermediate plateau. This means to get past the stage where your language learning seems to stall. Everyone hits this wall. Example, many learners get stuck at the intermediate level, but using the right methods can help you bypass the intermediate plateau and keep growing. Alternative usage, you could also say break through the plateau or get past the plateau. Common mistake, don't confuse bypass with avoid. You can't avoid the plateau, you can only get past it.
That's a common frustration for sure. I hit that wall myself.
Next, habit stacking. This is a technique where you attach a new habit to an existing one, so the existing habit triggers the new behavior. It's like building on top of what you already do. Example, I use habit stacking. I listen to English podcasts right after my morning coffee, so the coffee triggers my practice. Alternative usage, you could also describe this as anchoring or piggybacking. Common mistake, don't forget that the new habit needs to be small and achievable.
That's a great technique. I'm definitely going to try this.
Next phrase, to show up. This means to consistently do the work even when you don't feel like it. It's about being present and committed. Example, success is just showing up every day and doing the work even when it's hard. Alternative usage, you could also say be consistent or be present. Common mistake, don't use this to mean arrive somewhere. That's a different meaning.
Simple but powerful. That's what consistency is all about.
To remove the friction. This means to make something easier to do by eliminating barriers or obstacles. If there's too much friction, you'll avoid doing it. Example, I removed the friction by preparing my study materials the night before, so I could just start practicing in the morning. Alternative usage, you could also say eliminate barriers or reduce resistance. Common mistake, make sure you understand that friction here means difficulty or resistance, not the physical friction.
That's practical advice. Removing friction is so important.
Decision-making fatigue. This is when you feel tired or overwhelmed because you've had to make too many decisions throughout the day. Your brain gets tired from choosing. Example, having a set study routine helps avoid decision-making fatigue. You don't have to decide when or what to study. Alternative usage, you could also say choice fatigue. Common mistake, don't confuse this with being lazy. It's a real mental phenomenon.
I never thought of it that way. That's why having a routine is so important.
Keep going. To piggyback on. This means to use something existing as a basis for something new. You're riding on someone else's progress. Example, you can piggyback on your existing morning routine by adding English practice to it instead of starting from scratch. Alternative usage, you could also say build on or leverage. Common mistake, make sure you don't literally piggyback on someone. That means to ride on their back.
That's another great habit stacking phrase. There's so much vocabulary here.
Next, to build momentum. This means to gain increasing speed or force as you continue doing something. Once you have momentum, it's easier to keep going. Example, once you build momentum, practicing English becomes easier. You don't have to motivate yourself as much. Alternative usage, you could also say gain traction or pick up speed. Common mistake, don't confuse momentum with moment. They're totally different words.
Momentum is so important in learning anything.
To take your English to the next level, this means to improve significantly and reach a higher level of proficiency. Everyone wants this. Example, listening to native speakers can help you take your English to the next level. It's not just about textbooks. Alternative usage, you could also say level up or advance. Common mistake, don't forget the. It's take your English to the next level, not at.
That's everyone's goal, right? To keep leveling up.
Absolutely. Next phrase. To get stuck. This means to stop making progress or to encounter a difficulty you can't overcome. It's like being trapped. Example, many learners get stuck at the intermediate level, but don't worry, there's always a way forward. Alternative usage, you could also say hit a wall or stall. Common mistake, don't use stuck to mean frustrated. It specifically means you can't make progress.
That's what we're trying to avoid with today's episode.
Next, to give yourself permission. This means to allow yourself to do something without guilt or fear. It's about being kind to yourself. Example, give yourself permission to make mistakes while speaking. It's the only way to learn. Alternative usage, you could also say allow yourself or let yourself. Common mistake, don't use this to mean you're asking someone else for permission. It's about your own mindset.
That's so important for learning. We have to be gentle with ourselves.
Keep going. To freeze. In speaking, this means to suddenly be unable to speak or think clearly, often due to nervousness or stress. It's like your brain goes blank. Example, I used to freeze during conversations, but practice helps you stay calm and keep talking. Alternative usage, you could also say go blank or panic. Make sure you don't confuse this with being cold.
That's a very common experience for learners.
To think in English. This means to think directly in English without translating from your native language. This is a major milestone. Example, advanced learners often think in English rather than translating, and this makes them sound more natural. Alternative usage, you could also say think directly in English. Common mistake, don't worry if you can't do this yet. It takes time and lots of practice.
That's the ultimate goal, right?
Absolutely. 2 more. We're almost done with vocabulary. To search for words. This means to struggle to find the right word when speaking. Everyone experiences this. Example, beginners often search for words, but this improves with practice as your vocabulary grows. Alternative usage, you could also say hunt for words or struggle to find the right word. Common mistake, make sure you understand that this is about the process and not about doing research.
Everyone experiences that. It's totally normal.
Last one, to make mistakes. This means to do something wrong or incorrect. It's a necessary part of learning. Example, making mistakes is a necessary part of learning a language. You can't improve without them. Alternative usage, you could also say mess up or error. Common mistake, don't be afraid of mistakes. They're your best teachers.
And that's perfectly okay. Mistakes are how we learn.
Great job, everyone. Those are some really useful phrases for talking about habits and learning. Try to use them in your own English conversations.
Now it's time for our reflection questions. Anna, what do you have for us today? These are always so helpful for our listeners.
I have some great questions that will help you think about how to apply what we've discussed today. Take your time with these and remember, try to answer out loud in English. That's the whole point.
Here's the first question.
Question 1. Think about your current English practice routine. Are you spending more time planning or actually practicing? Be honest with yourself. What changes can you make to put in more reps? Consider, when did you last actually speak English versus just reading about it?
That's a tough but important question. Be really honest with yourself.
Question 2. What is your current speaking goal? Is it too big or vague? How can you break it down into a daily system instead? Consider, instead of be fluent, can you commit to a specific daily action?
Think about that one carefully. Get specific.
Question 3. What existing habit can you stack your English practice onto? Is it your morning coffee, your commute, or maybe your evening wind-down routine? Consider, what do you already do every day without thinking about it?
Find that anchor habit and build from there.
Question 4. Have you ever experienced the Procrasta-planning trap? What did it feel like? How did you break out of it? Consider, were you researching methods instead of actually practicing?
Reflect on that experience and what you learned from it.
Question 5. If you could only practice English for 15 minutes every day, what would be the most effective way to use that time? Listen, speak, or both? Why? Consider, what activities give you the best return on your time investment?
Think about efficiency and what actually works.
Question 6. Where are you on your English learning journey right now? Are you a beginner, intermediate, or advanced? What does the next level look like for you? Consider, what specific skills do you want to develop in the coming months?
Be honest with yourself about where you are.
Question 7. What is one fear or anxiety that holds you back from speaking English? Is it making mistakes, being judged, or something else? How can you give yourself permission to overcome it? Consider, what would you do if no one was watching or judging?
This is an important one. Name your fear and face it.
Question 8. Imagine it's December 2026. What does your English look like if you practice every day for the rest of the year? Describe that version of yourself. Consider, how has your life changed? What can you do now that you couldn't do before?
Paint that picture in your mind. Make it vivid.
Question 9. What is the smallest possible habit you can start today? Maybe just listening to 5 minutes of a podcast? What's stopping you from starting right now? Consider, what can you do in the next 5 minutes to begin?
Remove those barriers. Don't wait.
Question 10. Who can you share your English learning goals with? Having an accountability partner can make a huge difference. Who will support you on this journey? Consider, is there a friend, family member, or online community that can help keep you accountable?
Find your support system. You don't have to do this alone.
Okay, everyone, that's our episode for today. We covered a lot, from the Procrasta-planning trap to habit stacking, from the 15-minute podcast method to your 2026 Fluency roadmap. I hope you learned something valuable.
And remember, the most important thing is to start. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Don't wait until you're ready. Ready doesn't come. You become ready by doing. So just start putting in the reps today. Today.
Exactly. And if you missed any part of today's episode, go back and listen again. Practice makes progress. Every single day matters. Every single minute counts. You're building something amazing, one small step at a time.
We believe in you. You've got this. Keep showing up, keep putting in the work, and watch yourself transform. The results will surprise you.
Thanks for listening to the English Daily Podcast. I'm Anna, and this has been such a fun episode.
And I'm Jack. Thanks for joining us, English learners. Keep practicing, and we'll see you next time.
Bye for now. Don't forget, your English future is in your hands. Make it amazing. Your learning journey doesn't stop here. Keep improving your English. Click the next video or explore more episodes we've picked just for you. See you in the next lesson.